All right. Well, thank you everybody for joining in for our June installment of our Signworld Public Webinar Series. My name is Dan Werner. I'll be our moderator today and helping you gather some more information in and around the Signworld business model. We're joined by a great panel of Signworld owners today that are going to give you a lot of insights into their business. And the bulk of the webinar today is really built around the questions, the concerns, the things that you're thinking about that you want a little bit more clarity in and on with the Signworld business model to figure out whether or not this is a good and right fit for you. There's a lot that we'll accomplish here in the hour. If you've not been a part of one of these webinars before, just to give you a little idea how we'll conduct these, we will start off with introductions to our owner panel. They'll tell you a little bit about their business, what's gotten them to where they're at today. And then we'll go through an open Q&A session where you'll have the opportunity to ask a question to the panel. Each of these owners will answer the question based on their own respective experiences and their thoughts around the Signworld business model and the owner population that we have to give you more insight into that. And we will work our way in a round robin fashion to get through as many questions as we can. The goal, at the very least, is to get through a question from everybody. And if we have time, we will go back and work through another round. Throughout the webinar, at some point, we will start sharing a couple slideshows with you to give you some visuals as we do work through the Q&A portion of this. Those slideshows will showcase a number of our Signworld operations to give you an idea of the look, the feel of these facilities and what you can expect with the setup of your Signworld location under that brick and mortar approach to the business, as well as a number of projects that have been completed by Signworld owners, projects they're very proud of, either in size and scale or the work that they did for the client and the outcome that came from it, as well as all of the different opportunities that you have to service clients with signage. So a lot that you'll be able to see as we work through this hour. But we're glad that you're here joining us today, again, to gather more information and help you through this decision-making process. As I mentioned, we will have 3 owner panelists today, or 3 operations representing themselves here throughout. And so to get started, we'd love to introduce you to them. Well, we have Bruce Gardner, another owner, working his way into the call. We'll start off with these others. So I want to thank them for joining. Don and Faye, thanks for joining in today and taking an hour out of your day to help these prospective Signworld owners learn a little bit more about the business model. If you could take yourself off of mute and give us an introduction to your company and what's gotten you here.
Good morning, everyone.
Hello. Okay, so the business name is Signology, and we're located in Southern California, just south of San Diego, just before the border. We've been in business for 7 years, so we just started our 8th year a couple months ago. Our facility is about 2,000 square feet. At times we're busting out at the seams, and other times we have space, so depending on the project. We have 4 employees, so it's Faye and I plus 4. Our projected sales is just over $1 million for the year. And our biggest customer so far is SDSU, which is a university here, and also Skyline Church, which each are about the same at around $80,000 each. We don't have any big whale customers. We just have a lot of smaller customers with recurring business. And then my career prior to getting into the sign business, I was in training and development. I worked for corporate America and was laid off in about 8 years ago with 950 other employees and started looking at being self-employed.
And I have a couple degrees, but the one that fits this business the most is a degree in interior design. So that's
very good. Yeah, very good. And you talked a little bit about a couple of the biggest customers that you have. Have you done any work outside of the state of California yet?
We have done, yes. We've with clients in California, and we ship the products all over the nation. So, and we've used the Signworld partners to help us with the installs when needed. So, yeah, we A little bit, not a lot. We haven't really pursued it.
We
No,
get,
that's okay.
we get contacted a lot by people or businesses from other parts of the nation to assist them here. And that seems to be a big issue for, a big
Opportunity.
opportunity for us.
Yeah.
Yeah, very good. Well, thanks for giving us an introduction to your business and being here on the webinar today. Let's go to Kelly Hanaway in Milwaukee. Kelly, give us an introduction to Milwaukee Sign Company.
All right, thanks. Hello, everyone. I'm glad that you're here. To give you a little bit of insight into us, we incorporated in 2020, so we're coming up on 5 years at the end of this year. We're sitting at about 3,300 square feet of space. About a third of that is shop, and the rest is, of course, office. And we're with the original equipment package, except for we added a router to our package, CNC router, and we probably added that about 1.5 years ago. But that's, other than that, we're pretty much with the existing gear. We're looking at, last year we ended up at just under 1.4 million in sales. We have a really good year going. We're pushing really hard. We want to be over 2. That's our goal. We're sitting at, over 1 million thus far, almost not quite 6 months in. So we have a pretty good shot at hitting it. We do have a lot of business. We actually have done business in 29 states. A lot of it is just working through the network, knowing that we have boots on the ground with the Signworld family. So we aggressively pursue those kinds of customers that have a national footprint. And those are some of our biggest customers. We have a mortgage company that we've been probably in 17 states with, and we just keep tapping into that opportunity. We build the signs, we ship them, and it works out really well. And yeah, we've also done a lot here, and we do work locally with, they have one of the big ones here is Innovative Signs, is another Signworld partner. We're doing a 7-story sign down in downtown Milwaukee with those guys, because they have a lot of experience with the 90-ton cranes and all of the big equipment. So it works out really well, and that's helped our growth significantly. We have 8 employees now. We just hired 2 more this week, as a matter of fact. So we've got PM people, sales people, installers, fabrication people, of course, and we're a pretty good number. That seems to be about right where we want to be with the volume that we currently have. Again, some of our biggest customers are national accounts. We have a Linen King, which is a big linen provider for hospitals, and they're all over the country. Again, a mortgage company called Key, that's all over the country. And those guys work out really, really well for us. And those are the best. They just keep coming back, and you just keep inching up your pricing, and they just want stuff done right, so they're willing to pay it. Again, so our mix is about, I would say about 45% now in-house, and the balance being vended for our business.
Yeah, very good. We appreciate the intro there, Kelly. It sounds like you got a lot of great stuff going on. We do have a third owner who will be joining us. Apparently, Bruce is running a little late from an install, so when he is able to join in, we'll have Bruce give an introduction to his business as well. But with that, we'll jump into our Q&A portion of this. Again, we'll go in a round robin fashion. Please go ahead and ask your question when we call you to come off of mute. We'll work through as many questions and as many rounds as we can, so that you all gather as much information as you'd like. Don and Faye and Kelly and eventually Bruce, they will answer from their perspectives as an owner. If it's something that may require a little bit of insight from a corporate perspective, I can jump in and help you a little bit with what we may be training owners, or some of where we're going as an organization. And based on the question, I may call in another one of our team members who is here as well in attendance, Dick Cassidy, who does a lot of sales training for us. So with that, we will jump in, and I'll just work my way through based on the list in which you logged in. So Gary Vance, go ahead and take yourself off of mute and throw a question at our panelists.
Yeah, thanks, Dan. Can you hear me okay?
Absolutely. Go ahead.
Fantastic. Well, I appreciate it. I am Gary Vance. I'm in the Raleigh, North Carolina area, and I've been very excited about what I've seen so far with this Signworld opportunity. I have several questions, but I understand we're gonna go
Sure.
one at a time. And the first one, though, it does relate to what you've just been talking about. And that's on these shared projects. I find that really fascinating and very positive that, you know, you may have a Signworld facility in another location that can help with a job. So that part's great. But I just wondered, how do you divide up the revenue? How do you figure out who makes what, whether it's a percentage standpoint, or how do you approach that, I guess?
Sure. Yeah. Great question there. So let's start off with Don and Faye. Uh, and Don and Faye, you can share it really probably from both sides, whether it is a project that you've outsourced to somebody else that you've acquired in another area, or maybe another owner that has work that needs to get done in San Diego that you've taken on for them. How do you work through that collaboration part of the job? And do you feel like when those types of opportunities come about that you're competing and hurting another sign company's opportunity to grow within the area?
Yeah, so we manufacture the original package with the HP latex printer, plotter, and laminator. So pretty much we like to manufacture whatever we can inside with that. We also have a laser, so we do dimensional letters. And that is, by keeping it in-house, it's very profitable. When it comes to electrical signs, we outsource that to, well, right now I'm using another Signworld owner that's about an hour north of us. And he just got into manufacturing electrical signs. So we use him to do all of our um, channel letters and electrical signs and things like that. And we've used the local Signworld owners for a lot of electrical signs over the years.
Split the profit.
And then, and while we don't get as good of a margin, we don't have to purchase the equipment, which is very expensive. We don't have to hire the employees and manage them. So it's just beneficial for us to outsource that work. When it comes to installations out of the area, usually that's, you know, you take the local vendor that you can find in that town. And that's really what's great about us, is that we have a whole network that we can reach out to. And in many cases, if they're not in that city, they know somebody who is in that city to do the installs. But we have a really good install team now, and we have a really good production guy. And so, you know, we do what we can to keep it in-house to maintain the profit.
But when you have to outsource or you're doing work for others, Don, how do you split those profits? How do you deal with markups and negotiating pricing so that both parties are profitable?
Yeah, so, well, I think the biggest one for us is electrical signs, and the margins on electrical signs in this area is very competitive. So we typically get about a 25% discount on that manufacturing. So if their list was $100, it'd be 75, and we usually try to get about a 30 to 50% margin on those electrical signs. And we also make money on the install and the permitting and things like that. So it's pretty much pre-negotiated on the split. But yeah, does that answer your question?
I was going to say, we
Yeah,
usually
sure.
work out the pricing on the quote ahead of time with the vendor, so that when we give the quote to the customer, we've already determined who's going to get what
Yeah.
portion of the profit.
Yeah.
Yeah, that makes sense. Yeah.
Yeah, Kelly, share a little insight on that from your end, and collaborating with others, and how do you mark things up and split the profit and make sure both parties are taken care of?
So if it's our project and we're going to use local partners to try to fab it, we always send it out to multiples. So once you get, you know, that quote request out to a sign manufacturer for something you can't do or don't choose to do or partner with, you can just, it's pretty easy to just send it out to 3. But so we get their markup, or we get their price, and then typically now there are multiple people involved, as Don was saying. So the margins aren't going to be as great, but we don't ever take anything less than 40% margin on anything we're partnering with, because we really probably don't want it. There's probably just not enough in it for us. Now, if it's a $200,000 order, yeah, we'll take a small, but on a typical order, we just don't take less than that. So we'll take their price and we'll mark it up 67%, which is a 40% margin on their parts to make that work. And similarly, when someone's coming to us and asking us to install a job for them and they're in Nashville, you do have to be mindful of, you know, if you mark yours up too much, they have to make money. So there's a chance they'll lose the order too, because there's only so much to go around. So even with that said, we still try to be, you know, around that 40% margin, even on those things. And you're not going to get your 50% margins. It's hard to do when you're partnering with other people. You can get them in-house all day long, but when you're part of a group, you know, and you got to consider the fact too, you're probably not necessarily doing as much work as you otherwise would do in-house. So it's good money. I mean, sometimes they're just little pet projects that just make money and pay the bills for you while you're going after your own stuff. So, and again, if the project is really big, yeah, you can take a smaller one. I just took one, as a matter of fact, a couple of days ago with Chad and those guys. Like, yeah, I just made like 12 grand doing basically nothing but project managing it. Well, that's fine. The margin wasn't great. It's probably like 30%, but I wouldn't have had any of that money. And that's just something that I pay maybe 2 hours a week on paying attention to. It's easy. So it kind of, if it's a big project, you can take a lower margin, of course, but by and large, we try to hold it at like 40% minimum gross margins.
And Gary, if I can add to that, you know, I think, you know, Faye had sort of mentioned it, a lot of how the pricing happens and the margins and the splits for each party is negotiated before you even quote to the customer. So you're figuring out what your costing is from the partners that you're going to bring into the job, whether it is perhaps another Signworld owner, it's a third party sign company, or it is a trade wholesale manufacturer. You know exactly what your price to get the job done is, the costing on your end. And then from there, it's a matter of you applying your markups to hit any desired margins that you're looking for on the job, whether it is a desired margin percentage, or as Kelly just put it, you know, the bigger the project, it might just be a dollar value that you're looking for out of it. And it's just got to make sense on that. So a lot of that is pre-negotiated going into the quoting phase with the customer. And then from there, it's all about your sales abilities or your ability to communicate the value that you bring to the project that justifies whatever that price may be if you are in a competitive bid situation. But a lot of that is dealt with ahead of time before you even get to the customer pricing.
Thanks very much.
That help? Yeah, well, we'll circle back for question 2 and 3 here shortly, but let's go to Rob. Rob, if you could take yourself off mute, go ahead and throw a question at the group. And if you could also just share your last name just so we can record that on our end.
Thank you, Robert Whitener. My question is if you could share a little bit about the first year, the deals ramping up, as far as you know, the kinds of work you found, the dollars associated with those, and you know how you finished out your first year. Thank you.
Yeah, great question, Rob. So go all the way back to year number 1. Talk a little bit about how you got the business ramped up. Maybe add in there how long it got you, or how long it took you from the point of contract to physically opening the doors in your respective startup, how you went through some of the early lead generation, and then perhaps maybe average order size in that first year, maybe what first year numbers looked like for you. Let's start with Kelly. Kelly, go ahead and take yourself out and help us through that.
You bet. Thank you. Yeah, so our first year again was our first calendar year was 6 months, because before we have our space. So we started like January 1st effectively, and I worked out in my dining room for the first 6 months, literally. And then we were finding our space. We wanted to get the right space. So with that, so half of my year was there, and then the other half of the year was in our spaces. We're just learning how to run a business and get things up and running and moving forward. And then that year we ended up at 375K. And a lot of that stuff was, we were taking everything and anything just to get our name out there, just to figure out, you know, what a sign was. You know, the old thing, you know, fake it till you make it. We kind of did that. And we knew we could tap into the Signworld guys. So we just really never said no. We just said, absolutely. We'll figure that out, and we'll just tell you how much. And so we won a lot of business like that. Some business we learned, you know, that's profitable, not that great. So we learned a lot in the first year to like, yeah, don't go after that kind of business. It's hard to do that, or maybe you don't want to do that in-house. Maybe you want to get somebody else to do it and just mark it up. So there's a lot of learning in that first year, just bumping your head a lot until you figure it out. And then our second full year, and I won't go beyond that, because then we were over 600, about almost 610 in that second year, because we started getting a foothold, understanding what we were good at, and then you hire your people, and understand what they're good at and put them in the right place such that they can draw on that. Our average order size, I look back on it, initially was like 1750, which was, kind of low. And again, I had the luxury of having 5 Signworld people within a rock's throw of my business. So I had a lot of people I could tap into and kind of pull into bigger orders that you'd kind of be, as a new owner, it would be difficult to do. But I spent a lot of time just building my network, and a lot of time making sure I had, a bench of suppliers and partners that I could go to. And it just made life a lot easier. So investing all that time up front, getting ready for that, it helps. You exponentially grow, because then you can just go really fast and convert orders really fast and get a reputation and start getting repeat business.
Yeah, very good. Don and Faye, how about you? Think back to year one.
Yeah, so we started in April of 2018, and our first year sales, first 12 months, I think was about 440,000. We started taking compensation in January, so the beginning of the next year. So we started taking compensation in 2019. That would have been January. To give you a context of how the business went as far as learning, like Kelly said, you never say no. And you're learning. There's just so much to consume, because there's so many different products. And I can remember receiving a call early on, and the customer says, do you guys sell digital displays? And I said, absolutely. Tell me about your project. I asked a bunch of questions to get as much information as possible. I hung up the phone. I called Dan. And I said, Dan, what's a digital display and who sells them? So that's kind of how it goes your first year. You're fake it till you make it, like Kelly said. The easy stuff is the vinyl and the stuff that you can manufacture in-house. You're going to rely heavily on your first employee, and that employee will help you learn about the industry, learn about the products, as well as, we have about 8 Signworld owners in our area, probably within an hour and a half, probably 8 or 9 sign owners in San Diego County. And we would call them. I can remember calling Signworld company up in LA, Superior Signs and Graphics, and saying, hey, I got this van that needs a wrap. I want to get a quote. I want the quote to be the first one in. Can you help me? And he's like, yeah, if you propose it at this, you'll probably win it. We proposed it and we won the deal. So I think the network that you probably heard a lot about is really great. And that really helps you learn about the industry and about the products and about positioning yourself. So let's see. And pretty much as far as starting up, we just followed the Signworld process. As far as getting new employees, we followed the process, found a really good employee, kept him for 2 years. And then after 2 years, when we started to grow, we hired another guy as our sign maker, and he's been with us for 5 years. And as far as the real estate goes, the
There's
market,
not a lot of options here.
there's not a lot of options here. The market was tight, and we got the building we wanted in the space in the area we wanted. And that is just working through the people that are referred to you through Signworld as part of your package. Anything to add?
No, we kind of felt like we had 2 first starts because COVID hit and it set us back. So we had another restart after COVID, and definitely has been an eye-opening experience, how what's going on in the world will affect you and your business. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. And Rob, just to add a little more to that, when you look at it from an average perspective, in year one, from the point of signing a contract to opening the doors of a physical location, on average, takes about 4 months. There are some differences to that timeline depending on the marketplace. whether it is in the timeline to find the right real estate and work through the build out, or it is in finding that right first employee. But on average, about 4 months from the point of contract to opening the doors. One of the key things that I think is unique to this business model from a lot of brick and mortar franchise opportunities out there is we do promote to our owners the moment they get out of business training, begin networking, begin relationship building, begin selling the product. And there's a lot of production that can be done via outsourcing while you're waiting for the infrastructure of your operation to be set up and complete, that allows you to get the wheels turning on revenue and growth of the company. So that part of it starts very early on while you're still working through that ramp up, at about 4 months from the point of contract to physically opening the doors. At that point, now it's about growth and building the team and continually building the team. But with product sales, the goal really is to sell a little bit of everything to a little bit of everybody. And over that first 12 months, 18 months, depending on the market and the growth that you're seeing early on, you're really utilizing that time to get a feel for what types of products you like, what types of customers you like, and which of those you don't like. So that way, somewhere between month 12 to 18, there's a little bit of an adjustment to your marketing model, specifically through digital marketing, to attract more of what you really want to see. And then you're building your business around that. But that year one is really just about growth. Work with anybody you can, get a feel for the industry, build your team, create systems and processes that work for you, utilizing the Signworld plan and adjusting and manipulating those. But from there, being able to really, ramp into year two and year three, and pushing forward through that. So year one, there's a learning curve to it, but most owners generally begin to feel relatively comfortable with roughly 80% of the industry by the end of year one. There's still that 20% that has some uniqueness to it that you still have to continually learn. And I'm sure Don and Faye today, 7 or 8 years in, they're still learning things day in and day out about the industry, because there's always things that constantly change. But you've got a good handle on most of what you'll take on generally within that first year. So hopefully that helps to answer that question for you. Well, let's go to Dewey Lee. Dewey, go ahead and take yourself off of mute and throw a question at our panelists.
Hey, good afternoon, everybody. Thank you so much for taking the time. I am Dewey Lee, and I am in southwestern Indiana. Both of you, Kelly, Don, and Faye, you've mentioned, having close proximity to your Signworld partners and how much that's impacted your business or enabled your business. I'm in a different situation, southwestern Indiana, about 150 miles away from the nearest Signworld locations in Louisville, Nashville, St. Louis, etc. So I'm not going to have a whole lot of support there from local partners. It's going to take quite a bit of time. How much of an impact is that going to be for my market, you think?
Yeah, great question. So, I think whether you have Signworld owners near or far, there's always going to be challenges along with that. But Don and Faye, kick us off. How'd you work through that first year when you did need things from others and that help and that support and that collaboration? And maybe you can speak to it specifically to maybe some of the people that you were connected to through your mastermind groups that might have been in smaller markets than perhaps San Diego. What's been your experience around that and that collaboration to get projects done without that localized support?
So I would say that the mastermind group is really helpful. That's a weekly call. And at people at your level. So, they're dealing with the same struggles you're dealing with product knowledge and pricing and things like that. And then there's always another player who's got more experience, whether it be, say, Dick Cassidy or somebody that's on the call that has the experience to help guide you as well. But I would say that from my mastermind group, one of the closest friends that we have is out of Columbus, Ohio, and that's Margie at American Sign Studio and her husband Paul. They're rock stars. They're really crushing it as far as their business goes. And I probably talk to Margie on a weekly basis, or at least every 2 weeks. And that relationship has continued to be supportive and challenging, right? So, I love her and hate her because she's doing better than me, but I'm happy for her. And when I what happens in the beginning is you use those resources, but you know, those resources, what happens is you use those resources in the beginning, and then in the future, you are that resource for other new owners. So, you know, partnering up with the local people is helpful, but there's a big network out there that is very supportive, and it starts with your mastermind group.
Also, I believe that there's a lot of business for everybody out there. And there's other sign shops and sign owners that you can make friends with and build your own network with in your area. And I think that's true for probably any business, but I really have noticed it with the sign industry.
Yeah.
When we first opened, we made a list of all the sign shops or sign businesses in our area and went out and drove around and just met people and, you know, tried to see a lot of them were in their garages, but there were some brick and mortar shops that we could actually go in and meet people and talk to. So you can make your own network.
Yeah. And to that point, your vendors are going to be very helpful because they want you to succeed. So we've used our vendors for a lot of information on products and, you know, what to use and what not to use, and best way to manufacture in some cases.
Yeah, very good. Kelly, go ahead and bring yourself up and share a little bit of your experience, you know, working within the network, the collaboration amongst the owners, whether they are, you know, they're in the Milwaukee area or afar. To go back to Dewey's, you know, situation in Indiana with somebody no closer than 150 miles away. What would that experience be like?
That's a great question. Thanks. I agree a lot with what Don and Faye had said. I mean, your mastermind group I've got a great one too. I'm blessed. I changed a couple of times, but you get depth and insight in nuggets that it's invaluable to get really close to those people and get really tight with them, because that helps out a lot. But if I don't know, because I do, like I mentioned, I have 5 guys around me, 5 Signworld guys, and they pulled me into other areas and activities. So for me, it's been very, in that regard, it's kind of easy. I sit in a Wisconsin Sign Association because Brian Green, another Signworld owner, asked me to come on. So that just creates new networks. So I have that. I understand, Dewey, where you're coming from, where, you know, you may not have people around you, but if I were in your shoes, I mean, I'm trying to think every single sign type that we make, you can source anywhere across the country and get it delivered right to yourself, either blind drop shipped or to your shop for installation. And I oftentimes go 2 or 3 quotes even if I'm having a local partner try to help me fab some electrical sign. There are people that literally just make them across the country. There's a place right in California. They're all over, and a lot of it depends where you get that from, is based upon the freight and how you can get it there. But you can be very competitive just having someone else across the country. The partners that Signworld provides for you, the preferred partner list, they're on the list. And it's similarly with installers. There's an install team that you can tap into and ask them. They'll come. I've had them come out to do vinyl installs for me all the while. I mean, and I don't even remember where they're from, but they just put people in the country. They put one where the jobs are. They've got there's a lot of those types of people out there that you can just tap into. But 3M also, as a vinyl supplier, they have a whole list of suppliers, installers that they'll give you the list. Here are people that, you know, are basically hired guns around the country. Call them up, get quotes, and see if they can do your job. A lot of it is based upon how much capacity they have and how busy they are. But that works well. And there's also a network for installing. Would probably be the hardest part. I guess what I'm saying is, all of the stuff that you can fab, you can get it all over the country, all over the world for that matter, and have it brought in and kind of sell it as your own. You got to install it. So there's also another site that's a national site that's just literally listing. It's an installer's site where you just type, you got to subscribe to it, and you basically type in the zip code of the project you're at, and people will literally bid on the project for you and go and do it, because they're within 100 miles. You may not know them, but maybe they're 100 miles on the other side of the border, and for that job, they're happy to come to do it and install it. And so I get 2 or 3 bids on most of those jobs where I'm going, I don't know anybody in Texas. If there's not a guy in a particular area in Texas and Signworld, I'll just throw it out there and I'll have 3 or 4 people bidding on it. I just make sure, and most of them are qualified, or you do your homework, but I've not been burned on it. And it seems like it works really well. So there are ways you can tap into that if you don't have the network that right around you immediately.
I appreciate it. Thank you.
Dick, if you're on, maybe take yourself off mute. Dick Cassidy is one of our sales coaches. He's helping owners all across the country with sales and business development and growing their companies that way. But you're talking to a lot of, especially first and second year owners in those sales classes. How are they dealing in some of those markets where they may not have as many Signworld owners to locally rely on? Dick, I see you came off of mute, but I'm not hearing anything. Not sure if you're okay. Dick may be having some audio issues there, but I'll share a little bit from the Signworld perspective. I think Kelly kind of got to it there at the end of what he was sharing, is that generally a lot of what you would be getting from localized owners would be more assistance in uh, faster production of products that you can't make or you have to outsource anyways, or more importantly, the installation side of things and getting some assistance there. But the other aspect of this is not all Signworld owners have all or complete manufacturing capability, nor do they all have complete installation capability. And so that goes back to something that Faye mentioned that we preach very, very strongly is not only is the Signworld network very, very collaborative, but so is the entire industry. And yes, in any industry, you do have those that want to be extremely competitive and combative. But in this space, we do have a lot of sign companies, whether they are working in their garage or their back bedroom, or they have an actual operation. They want to be relatively collaborative, and they are willing to help with these other things, whether it is additional production capabilities or it is contract installation services. And so you'll get tied into your local community with other sign companies, getting to know who they are and how they can help. And where they may not be able to help, that's where the contract base comes in, whether it is for manufacturing and you leverage third-party wholesale manufacturers that can ship product to you from wherever they're located and still do that in a relatively cost-effective manner, or you're bringing in third-party installers that may have to come in from outside of the area, but the money on the job is worth it and they can get that done. When it comes to other levels of support and training and guidance, there are a lot of layers to this, whether it is help and support coming from the Signworld corporate team and the help that we provide, or it is coming from our supply chain partners, contract trainers that we do bring in from time to time, or it's the rest of the Signworld network. One of the things I'm really proud of within this group, and I think the owners would share this as well, is the owners are willing to help and train and guide each other. So when you've got a question, you can throw it out on the owners forum, or you can reach out to any owner within the network, and there'll be multiple people that are willing to take your call, answer your email, give you feedback that allow you the ability to make progress on the project that you're working on. Don, I saw you throw your hand up. Go ahead.
Yeah, I was just going to add that I think Kelly made a good point about your employees too. So they know people, they know other contractors, they know other people in the industry, they know installers. So that first hire, doing a good job on that first hire I thought really helped us a lot.
Yeah.
And and he taught me a lot. And I thought that that was a good add by Kelly, because you got your vendors, you got your employees, and you have Signworld owners, and you have your training and your mastermind. So it's a good network.
Excellent.
Hey, Dan.
Oh, yeah, I can hear you now, Dick. Go ahead.
Yeah, sorry about that. I was just gonna, one thing I would add to that is that we probably did business with 20 other sign companies in Dallas, Fort Worth, and many.
Oh, you just cut out again, Dick.
Oh, how about now? Better?
There
No?
you go. Yep, you're back.
So long story short is we did business with a lot of sign companies. Many of them were Signworld, but we also did business with a lot of companies that were not Signworld. Just meeting them and getting to know them, and we did work for them. They did work for us. This is the most collaborative industry I've ever been a part of. I mean, and that's the thing I would say is you'll do business with more sign companies than you'll compete with, is the way I describe it.
Yeah, very good. Thanks, Dick. All right. Well, before we go to our next question, just want to highlight that in the background, we will be starting some slideshows again to give you some insight into how some of these operations look and feel and are built out, as well as some work that you'll be able to accomplish for your customers. And in addition, some work that our owners have completed that they are very, very proud of, and we show that off as part of our Wall of Fame project category. So with that, we'll go to our next guest, Steve Leith. Steve, go ahead and take yourself off of mute. Throw a question at our group. Oops, Steve. All right, Steve, I don't know if you're having issues with your audio, but if you are, you can throw your question in the chat window and we'll pop that out to the group. Well, we're working to get Steve off of mute. Let's go to Francisco de Alba. Francisco, go ahead and take yourself off of mute. Throw a question at our group. Francisco? All right, well, we'll circle back to top of the order there. Rob, go ahead. I know you I'm sorry, Gary, you had another question. Go ahead and kick off round two. What's something else you'd like to learn about from the group?
Well, great. I guess I should check on my audio. Can you hear me all right?
We can hear you just fine.
Okay, great. We've talked a lot about that first hire, and I've already heard a lot about that in my exploration, but I did want to just dig into it a tiny bit more. You know, just how important is that person? How hard is it, you know, to find that sign maker? About how long, you know, did it take? And I guess just real quick, relevant to that, I'm an engineer. I have a bit of a technical background. I've been in manufacturing my whole life, but did the owners actually make any signs initially, or did you just wait till you got that sign maker? So those are my questions just about that first hire of the sign maker, I guess.
Sure. Yeah. And I'll kick us off just to give you some insight into how Signworld assists you with that. And then we'll go to our panelists. So we do help you through this process in producing job ads, helping you with placing those ads and getting them online so that you have the ability to accept some resumes. When the resumes do come in, our team will help review them with you if you need some assistance in looking at those to determine qualifications and capabilities. And we'll also assist through the interview process. We want you to focus on character, personality, work ethic, the things that are really important to ensure that you have the trust in their work ethic, that they'll get the job done for you. What we will test them on is their technical capabilities and equipment knowledge, as well as their business and industry knowledge to ensure that they know how to make the product. They know the materials that go into it. They know vendors that are there within the local area that they can rely on to help with outsourcing and bringing contractors, and just their ability to help you grow the company and get it off the ground. From there, there's also a level of training that we will provide to them. Most of it is going to be remote-based training, but that's part of why we want to be involved in the interview process to understand where they might need some additional assistance to make sure that they're fully capable in helping you through that build out. So let's bring off Don and Faye. Go ahead and kick us off. Think back again to the start. How did you find your first employee? You know, what sort of qualifications did he have coming in or she have coming in? What pay rate did you provide at that point for your lead? And obviously you mentioned that they were with you for 2 years, but what changed in that you maybe looked for something else when you were going into employee number 2?
Yeah, so first thing is when you go through training, and you've probably heard this before, that sign owners don't make signs, and that's mostly because we don't know how to make signs. So you won't make a sign if you don't know how. Over time you will learn and you might make signs, but I try to stay away from that. Our first employee, I think we had about, he was a designer, he was an artist, and he was really good about vinyl and manufacturing and production. So he was a well-rounded designer with production experience.
And installation.
And installation on vinyl. And he was artistic, so he could bring some flair and design to it. We ran the process right out of the book from Signworld, and ran a Craigslist ad, and I think we paid the guy $18 an hour starting out. This was in 2018. And you know, in the next 2 years, he received raises, but you know, I said in the beginning, you rely heavily on your employee. So I think having a good employee your first time out is important. On the second time, you're not as you don't rely as heavily on your employee, and you start to you still look for the skills. But I would say that on the first hire, we looked for a lot of skills and compatibility to work with somebody. And then on the second one, we looked for similar skills, but what was more important to us is somebody that we could work with day to day. And this guy's been with us for 5 years. Our installers have been with us for 2. And yeah, you do rely heavily on your first employee, but after a while, you don't need them as much because you learn through on the job training. Anything to add?
The only thing I'd like to add is we literally followed step by step the Signworld manual on how to get your first hire. And I think they were interviewed by, I believe Dan, you even interviewed him. And then we had another Signworld and Terry. We had another Signworld company that we paid this guy to go work with for a day. So they gave us their feedback on whether or not he knew the things he said he knew and was experienced with.
Yeah.
So we followed the process and it worked.
Yeah, very cool. And with your first hire, what sort of pay rate or hourly rate were you paying?
I think it was like $18 an hour starting out.
7 years ago.
Yeah, 7
Yeah.
years ago. Yeah,
Yeah,
so
7 years ago. Yeah, now we're looking more, depending on the marketplace, somewhere between $25 to $30 an hour.
Yep.
Exactly.
So it's gone up a bit, but a lot of that is more market based. So Kelly, go back to employee number 1. How'd you find them? What sort of skills did they have when they came in? Are they still with you today? And as you continue to build that team, what did you start to look for in individuals?
Great question. And again, I would just kind of echo what Don and Faye were saying. I mean, it is, if you really got to follow the process on that first employee, and it's important that they're the right people. And it's almost as much, you know, what you're looking for as what you're not looking for. You know, I think Dan, it was your phrase, don't let crazy in your business, those types of things. I mean, you interviewed my first Tammy, who's my production manager to this day, almost 5 years now. She's been with us. And she's just been, you know, a godsend for us. I mean, and a lot of it is, I mean, she's really good at production and she's good at install, and it's the people she knew, because she probably had, I'm going to say 10 to 12 years of industry experience. Knew the HP, you know, she knew AI, but she knew Flexi and she knew all the other tools, you know, so it just makes things easy. And she was articulate enough that we could document the processes, so now others can learn. They're all documented, and heck, if I have to, I can go make a sign. Probably wouldn't want me to, but I could figure it out. But I did make one of each, just, you know, because I think it's important that you kind of get dirty just to understand what it takes. But you should be working on the business and not in there. Surely, but it does. You do learn a lot doing it. But today, when I look at it, so I mentioned I have 8 employees today. Tammy had experience. The other 7 people have 0 sign experience, not a lick of sign experience. And I was looking at, for the people that I'm looking for good bones, I'm looking for people that are trainable, that have great attitudes and want to learn and want to be part of what we're doing. And yeah, to you, what you guys were saying, Tammy did start out in 2020 at $20 an hour, and today she's at 31. Well, yeah, you do got to pay them, but that's just with everybody. I mean, they got to, or they're going to walk. I mean, for money. And much as you build a great culture and people want to be part of it, at the end of the day, you got to keep up, because they know what the rates are out there. But now it's really looking at, you know, and she was on Indeed. And again, I knew, because what Signworld gave me, what not to say I was looking for. So I wouldn't get, you know, 50 resumes of graphics designers. I need a production person, a sign maker. I didn't need a graphics designer at the time. I needed somebody that could run this equipment and understood what it meant to build a sign. So that was very helpful in screening it. I think I did Indeed, and I think I probably got 3 applicants, if I can recall, only, which is great, honestly, because going through 50 resumes is not fun either. And so they were very focused, you know, in particular about, they knew what it was I was looking for. And so they only applied if they had those qualifications. So it was pretty easy to make the decision. And again, like I said, Dan and Terry both interviewed them, and things went well from there forward. And she's with me today.
Yeah, that's great, Kelly. That's always good to have long tenured employees. I mean, at the end of the day, Gary, to follow up on that, we do have a process for this in the hiring phase. Kelly, mentioned one of the mistakes that I help owners try to avoid, but there are a few. Number one is you don't want to hire too quickly. So there's a process for that. Take some time. Really make sure you got the right person. Number two is we want to avoid choosing talent over passion or character. And so we're really working through this with you to make sure that these are high character individuals coming into your business. They still have to have that skill set, but the character is what's there. And then third is we're not letting crazy in the door. And you gotta work through those things. If you do that the right way, you get long tenured employees, and that's a great part of the hiring process.
Great, thank you.
So, hopefully that helps. Well, let's go to Rob. Rob, do you have another question you'd like to throw out to the panel?
Yeah. Thanks for asking. If each person could give us three tips for starting out. Thank you.
Sure. Yeah, let's go to, with that. And Kelly, Don, and Faye, if you could, just because we have limited time left, if you could just shorten up the answers a little bit there, maybe we can get through a couple more. But what are three tips you would share about having a successful year one? Kelly, let's start with you.
Sorry, say hurry up, and then I can't find my mouse. Sorry about that.
That's okay.
Three tips. One is, I think it is follow the process. Signworld provides a really good framework. You stay between the rails, but you can run your own business the way you want to, but stay within the framework that's provided for you, and you'll be fine. That's one thing. Again, it's important to get your first employee and make sure you do a really good job getting that employee, and then understanding your numbers from day one. You got to understand what makes the business work and how those numbers flow through your business, so you can wrap your head around your margins and how you're managing your business. And if there's one more, I would say just network like crazy. That first, just so many people in the industry that you can't stop doing that. But that would be my concise comment.
Yeah, very good. Don and Faye, how about you? What are the top three tips that you would recommend to somebody for a successful first year?
So I would say the first thing that we didn't do a good job of setting up the software. So I would say get the software going before you start selling. I like to sell and I don't like to set up software. So we kind of laxed on that, and I regret that. So I wish we would have set up our software. I think your location's important. We're in Southern California. So we're 6 miles from the border, 6 miles from the ocean, and everything east of us is a residential or park reserve. So I wish we would have had our business a little further north, where we had a 360-degree selling radius. And then, I think take time to do the hiring, as we discussed earlier. And I would just reiterate what Kelly said about networking. That really helped our first year in our sales and creating relationships that we still have today.
Yeah, very good. And Dick, you've got a great response to this. Go ahead and share your insight on that.
Yeah, first thing I would say is answer the phone. Number one, answer it 24/7, 365, because one of those calls is going to be the biggest customer you ever own. Number two, be obsessed about the customer. Be obsessed about the customer experience and make sure that they have the most amazing experience they've ever had doing business with another company. And number three is hustle. Hustle, hustle, hustle. Those are my 3 points.
Absolutely. Great points there, and great tips for all to get off the ground relatively quick. So we are running out of time, but we do have time for one more question. So Dewey, Steve, Francisco, if you'd like, go ahead and you can either raise your hand or go ahead and throw a question out there. And there you go, Dewey. We saw your hand go up. Go ahead and
Steve
throw our last
actually
question
also had a question in the Q&A too.
Oh, he does. Perfect. Okay, I'll throw that out after Dewey. Go ahead, Dewey.
Yeah, thanks. So Don, you mentioned you're a corporate refugee. I am one as well. How did you land on signs?
So my first career in corporate America, I was in sales, and I sold forms and printing, and then I got into marketing pieces. So I had a knowledge, and to be honest, when I first found out about Signworld, I was a little skeptical because it's a custom product. And as I did my due diligence, like you're doing now, I started asking the question about how long did it take for you to get back to your corporate income? And in many cases with the franchises, they didn't have an answer, but people at Signworld did. The other question that I asked is, what's your exit strategy? And in some cases, I heard, I don't know how I'm going to get out of this. I might just end up walking away. And because this is brick and mortar, I changed my mind to really consider this industry, and ultimately we did go with this industry, as you can tell. Um, but yeah, I had some background in printing, and not the same, but some knowledge. So that's we looked at probably 7 or 8 different opportunities
Yeah.
and landed on this one because of, the long-term.
Questions we
yeah.
asked.
Yeah, those 2 questions kind of made it. How long did it take to get back to your corporate income? And then what's your exit strategy? And in many cases, like an ice cream place didn't have an answer, or, karate, or, some of the other ones we looked at.
Excellent. Thank you.
Yeah, very good. Kelly, real quickly, why did you land on the sign industry?
Kind of the same thing. There was the niche. I came out of corporate as well. We built inline spectrophotometers. So I kind of knew about color measurement and the value of being able to consistently create things with the same color across product lines. That was interesting. And then I did look at some franchises, and I looked at a bunch of opportunities as well. And I like the sign industry. I like the variety that it brings, and I like the model that Signworld offered, which was, again, give you the guidance, but don't put you in a box. Let you run your own business. So that was very important to me.
Appreciate it. Thank you.
And it looks like Steve might have logged off, so we will forego his question, and I will address that with him offline. But with that, I know we are crossing the top of the hour. I want to be mindful of our owners' times as they are running their own businesses and working to grow those. So Don and Faye, Kelly, thank you so much for being here today and giving up an hour of your day to address questions and just share information about your businesses. I know it's helpful to these individuals as they consider Signworld and they work through their discovery journey to find the right business. So thank you again for taking time out of your day to help them. To our guests, thank you for taking time out of your day to be a part of this and just learn more about the Signworld business model. If there is more that you'd like to learn, feel free to connect with whichever representative you are working with within the Signworld network here, whether it is Dick Cassidy, it's Jeannie Borum, or it's myself, Dan Werner. We're more than happy to work with you and continue the investigation journey. Going forward, we do have a few additional events that you can participate in if you'd like. We do have a Discovery Day coming up on Friday, July 11th. If you're interested in learning more about that and participating in that event, feel free to reach back to the representative that you're working with within Signworld, and we can share some details on that. If you're looking forward to another one of these webinars and owner panel conversations, our next one is scheduled for Wednesday, July 16th. So a couple dates there for you to mark down. But for now, again, we thank you all for being a part of today's webinar. We hope you have a great finish to your week, and we'll talk to you all very soon. To our owner panel, again, thank you very much. Have a great day and a great close to your business day.
Take care.